hardly seen this situation in the last semester because there was much more student in the third class.
So occasionally I can see a lot of students whenever there is a quiz or assignment or presentation. Usually classroom is almost half full. But in the regular class, I hardly see more than 25 or 30. So it shouldn't be the case, although we I think it's a very first class. That might be a reason. It's early morning, a lot of people struggle to come. Anyways, we have very limited amount of time, so we will not, sorry. So, what was our topic of discussion last class? Can any one of you recall that? And I guess you have a homework to do as well.
Hofstede cultural dimension.
Yes, right, Hofstede cultural dimension. And I've given you a homework. Have you checked it? So have you surfed on that website, Hofstede cultural dimension website? And then what you got?
There are a lot of differences, those 6 elements of Hofstede.
Hofstede, okay.
Some were greater than Bangladesh and some were...
And which country did you compare with Bangladesh? Bhutan, right. So I don't know much about Bhutan and their culture. So can you please explain what are the differences they have other than Bangladesh? So is there anyone who whom it's the very first class? It's your first class. How many of you? One or back there? So you were in last class, right? You were present in last class. So I guess you understand the topic that we are talking about. We are talking about Hofstede cultural dimensions. We are talking about diversity, and to to measure the diversity, we discussed about Hofstede cultural dimensions. There are 6 dimensions given by Hofstede, and you were given a homework to compare Bangladesh and any one of your favorite country, and you have to compare their cultural dimensions based on Hofstede. So how many of you did it? I can find some of you have sent me an email. They have prepared a PowerPoint slide, which is highly appreciated, but it's very frustrating for me that most of you are not aware of that and did not work on that. So anyways, it will not affect your grade. I did not allocate any marks for that, but it will increase your engagement and involvement with the class and with the course. So anyways, let's not talk about that what you haven't done. So we were talking about what's wrong, right? So we were talking about managing cultural diversity, and we talked about how cultures differ from one to one, and then we talked about Hofstede cultural diversity, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4 4 dimensions, and on these 4 we got 6 types, 6 dimensions of culture given by Hofstede. Something wrong with this TV. স্লাইডগুলি কেটে যাচ্ছে। এনিওয়েজ আমরা এটা থেকেই বোঝার চেষ্টা করি, হ্যাঁ আমার স্লাইডগুলি কেটে যাচ্ছে ম্যাক্সিমামই। Something wrong with this TV. So today we will be talking about personality. So in this course you will find a lot of common terms that you are mostly familiar with. One of them is personality. We'll be talking about that today. We'll be talking about our topic of discussion of today's class will be personality, big 5 personalities, Myers-Briggs type indicator, that is personality type indicator, and then we'll try to cover components of attitude today. All right, so mostly I'll try to cover 3 topics today. Number 1 is personality. So what do you understand by personality? Can any one of you explain that? You can, if you're comfortable in Bangla, you can talk in Bangla as well. No problem with that. We most often use this term at the way I react, the way I behave. These are personalities. Okay, he has a certain personality. He has a different personality than me. So what do we understand by personality, the word personality? Can any one of you explain that?
Set of characteristics
Right.
managed for the same.
Right, kind of. So if you go for the definition, formal definition, personality encompasses the relatively stable feelings, thoughts, and behavioral pattern. Okay, so number 1 is stable feelings. Usually, the way we feel, the way we react to a situation, our personality has a significant role on that. And it's relatively stable. It stays with you almost your whole life. Personality is something that's very hard to change. Usually people generate their personality at the age of within 10, and then after that, when they become mature, their personality shaped by their culture, by their family background, and by their education as well. And it's a stable feelings, it's the way we think, and it's a behavioral pattern. And personality is stable and does, it's stable, but does it really mean that personality can never be changed? Answer is no. Personality can be changed through your education, through your learning process, and over the time, over the life experience, personality can change. It's not like it will stay with you whole life. Once you get a certain personality, you will never be changed. No. You can be changed, but it's relatively stable, other than your other feelings. For example, you are crying right now, you're feeling sad. It will change over the time. Maybe 1.5 hours later, you are not crying anymore. So that's a certain emotion that can be changed. But personality is an expression of emotion which is relatively stable, which stays with you for a longer period of time. But that does not mean it will stay with you for your whole life. Personality can be changed. Maybe at your very early age, you had possessed some certain type of personality, but in your matured life, you are gaining or possessing some different sort of personality. Scientists identified the myriad amount of personalities in a human life cycle, but there are big 5 personalities identified the psychologists. These big 5 personality called big 5 personality model. There are some traits, 5 traits of basic personalities. There are thousands of personalities out there, but these 5 are the basic that all human beings usually have. And it's a universal personality model. Almost people from all over the countries, all over the world possess at least these 5 types of personality. Number 1 is openness. Openness or openness to express is a type of personality where people are very curious, they are original and have intellectual and creative ability. You can see, maybe you can experience in your own life, no matter which occupation you are right now, the people who are creative, you can identify them very easily. They are very open to express things. They're very creative. They try to learn new things. They can adapt in new situations very easily. And they are very much prone to change. They can change, they love to change, and they can adapt to changing situations. These characteristics are attributed to openness or openness to express. Another type of big personality is conscientiousness. The pronunciation is conscientiousness. All right. So these type of people, they are very systematic, they are very analytical, and very organized, punctual, and achievement oriented. This type of people, they try to solve problem in a logical pattern. They try to adopt systematic pattern. They love to solve problems being organized and systematic, and they are usually achievement oriented people. Then comes extraversion. Extraversion is type of openness as well. Extraversion people, they are, you can understand, you can find a lot of people who are being extrovert. We are pretty familiar with this word extrovert. So from that word came extraversion. They are very outgoing, outdoorsy, talkative people, and they enjoy the social company. They love to be, they enjoy their social situations. All right. So then comes agreeableness. It's another, so far what we have talked about, these three traits, we are mostly familiar with. But this type, number 4, agreeableness, it's a type of a personality that you probably have seen in your life, definitely such type of people, but you probably didn't notice that it can be a category of personality. There's agreeableness. They are very tolerant, sensitive, and most importantly, the name by itself, they tend to more agree with someone else's opinion. আপনারা হয়তো আপনাদের ব্যক্তি জীবনে এমন কোনো মানুষ দেখে থাকবেন যারা সাধারণত they tend to have the ability to agree with someone else's opinion, although they are not agreeing, although that opinion is contradicting with their own opinions. আমাদের মধ্যে এরকম অনেক আছে, কনভারসেশন হচ্ছে, হয়তো দুইটা পলিটিক্যাল পার্টির মধ্যেই কথা হচ্ছে, আমি হয়তো আওয়ামী লীগ করি, বিএনপি করি, আপনি হয়তো অপোজিট কিছু একটা করেন, but we tend to agree. They don't love to go in conflict. It's another type of personality, which is agreeableness. অন্য যে কারো ডিসিশন, অপিনিয়নের মধ্যে তারা এগ্রি করতে পছন্দ করে, ডিসএগ্রি ইউজুয়ালি করে না। আপনাদের মধ্যেও এই ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক থাকতে পারে, হয়তো এই ক্লাসের মধ্যে দু একজনের আছে, আবার অনেকে আছে দেখবেন জাস্ট অপোজিট অফ দিস। No matter what other person says, other person's opinions is, if that contradicts with my opinion, they tend to argue. So these type of people, they don't like to argue. They tend to be more agreeable. They're very affable, tolerant, sensitive, trusting, and kind and warm. So এখন কথা হচ্ছে এই যে 5টা ক্যাটাগরি, so far we have discussed about 4 categories. Let's just finish the final one, then talk about that. Neuroticism. Neuroticism is type of a personality where people tend to be more anxious. They try to come up with all the negative aspects of a situation. আমাদের মধ্যে হয়তো আমাদের ঘরে মা খালাদের মধ্যে এটা বেশি দেখা যায়। They try to come up with all the negative things out of something. Let's not generalize. আমি এরকম এক্সপিরিয়েন্স করেছি যে আমার একজন রিলেটিভ আছে, ওনার যদি ওনার লাইফে কোনো প্রবলেম নাই, শি ডাজন্ট হ্যাভ এনি প্রবলেম, but she is continuously complaining about things. Even if she doesn't find anything to complain about, she go to the newspaper and find out where the murders happened, where the road accident happened, what's happening in this country, what are the government doing. So all the things, and she is very suffer from a lot of anxieties out of these situations and always get irritated. So these categories called neuroticism. Now the thing is, all these 5 categories, people usually tend to be more on something and less on something. The thing I'm trying to say is, we all have these 5 characteristics in ourselves as well. You cannot put a person completely on a single category, that a person is completely extroversion, a person is completely openness. You cannot categorize them. We all possess all these 5 characteristics in our personality, but some possess most amount of this and less amount of this maybe. So it's a complex blend among us. আপনারা কি বুঝতে পারছেন? সবার মধ্যেই 5টাই আছে, কিন্তু কারোর মধ্যে কোনোটা একটু বেশি, কোনোটা একটু কম। এইভাবে প্রপোর্শন করে পার্সোনালিটিটা আমাদের ফর্ম করা। ইট মে বি ক্রিয়েটেড বাই গড, so that's why we are different than each other. So these are the 5 big characteristics in a personality. Then your next homework. So when I say homework, probably you have a negative vibe from that and you instantly think that I'm not going to do that. So it's a fun thing to do. It's not mandatory for you, but I'd love to hear from you if you do this. So it's called Myers-Briggs type indicator. So it's basically personality type indicator. So mostly I give my class as a homework, and the task is to perform these tests, and then the next following class they are here to explain what they have found. Okay, so Myers-Briggs personality type indicator is an indicator where when you take the test you'll get 100 questions, and when we complete the task, they will generate your personality type report. And you'll surprisingly notice that if you answer them correctly, they will be able to decode your personality very precisely. So it's a behavioral framework, a behavioral model, where they will identify your personality probably you didn't even know. So this type has 4 basic categories. It depends, it's based on how we feel, we react to a certain situation, and how we face our situation, and what is my personality type. They'll give you a combination of that. So these 4 basic category is extraversion versus introversion. They'll try to identify whether you are an extrovert person or introvert person. We are quite familiar with this term, right? What are the basic characteristics of extroversion? Can anyone explain? Do you believe you are extrovert or introvert? How many of you? Can I see some hands? Both? Extrovert, or how many of you are there? It feels like you are extrovert. You are. Then 2, 3. Just okay. How many of you are introvert? 1, 2. You're introvert. And rest of the people, they're so introvert they don't even mind to raise their hand. I guess. Okay. So extroversion, people who derive energy from others and other objects. So basic definition is that, why do you believe that you are an extrovert? আপনার কেন মনে হলো যে আপনি extrovert?
কারণ আমি যখন কারোর সাথে পরিচিত হচ্ছি, তার সাথে জানতে, কথা বলতে, বা সে কি করে, এই ধরনের জিনিসপত্র আমার জানতে খুব ভালো লাগে,
রাইট? বাকিদের ক্ষেত্রে এক্সপেরিয়েন্সটা কেমন? Similar experience, right? At the back there, you are extrovert too. Why? Why do you think that? কেন মনে হলো যে আমি extrovert? There is no right or wrong answer. It can be anything. Just বলতে পারেন এমনি মনে হইছে. No reason.
Not open to others. Open to others.
Open to others. Okay. The psychologist says that when a person is extrovert, they derive their energy from others, from other people or other objects. Usually এইটা আসলে আমরা কথা বলতে ভালোবাসি, আরেকজনের সাথে মিশতে ভালোবাসি, এইটা হচ্ছে ওইটার একটা ইম্প্যাক্ট। বাট বেসিকলি এক্সট্রোভার্ট আমরা তখনই হই যখন আমাদের এই রিফ্লেকশনগুলো, আমি হ্যাপি থাকবো না স্যাড থাকবো, এই জিনিসগুলো বেসিকলি এক্সটার্নাল এনভায়রনমেন্ট দিয়ে আমি যখন পরিচালিত হই। When we are influenced by our external environments, that may be a people, that may be a person, that may be an object as well. That excites me, that generates me the energy to react in a certain way. These people are extroversion. So আপনার যখন মনে হচ্ছে যে আপনার অন্যের সাথে কথা বলতে মিশতে ভালো লাগে, ইটস বেসিকলি তার মানে কি হতো, আপনার এই ভালো লাগার ফিলিংসটা আর মানুষ না থাকলে এটা হতো না। So you're psychologically basically dependent on other people's perception about you. So which is good and bad in both ways, right? On the other hand, introversion, the introverts who derive their energy from inside, they try to generate their energy, their purpose of living from their own self, and they love to enjoy their own company, which extrovert people will not able to understand probably. আবার এক্সট্রোভার্ট পিপলরা একটা যেই মজাটা পায় সেটা ইন্ট্রোভার্টরা হয়তো সেটা ফিল করে না। আমি পার্সোনালি, আপনাদের কখনো এরকম হয়েছে, কতজনের হয়েছে জানি না, উইকের ইউ গট আ উইকেন্ড ওয়ান্স অর টুয়াইস ইন আ উইক, কখনো কি মনে হয় যে কোনো উইকে যদি আমি ইভেন ইফ আই গো অন এ ট্যুর, আমার মনে হচ্ছে যে উইকটা মনে হয় ভ্যাকেশন হলো না, মানে আমার রিল্যাক্স পেলাম না। আবার এমন হয়, মনে হয় যে দিস উইকেন্ড ইভেন ইফ আই ক্যান স্টে ইন মাই হোম ওয়াচিং টিভিজ অ্যান্ড বিইং উইথ মাই সেলফ, দ্যাটস মাই সোর্স অফ রিল্যাক্সেশন। এটা কয়জনের মনে হয়? হাউ মেনি অফ ইউ? নেক্সট উইকে যদি এরকম বা আগের উইকে যদি আপনাদের বড় একটা গ্যাদারিংও থাকে, সোশ্যাল অ্যাক্টিভিটিস থাকে, ফ্যামিলি গেট টুগেদার থাকে, তাহলেও কেন যেন মনে হয় যে আমি মনে হয় বন্ধ পাই নেই। এটা মনে হয় কয়জনের? রাইট রাইট, মানে আমি ধরে নিলাম যে আপনার ওই সময় আসলে কোনো ফিজিক্যাল খাটনি ছিল না। ধরেন এটা আপনাদের ক্ষেত্রে ম্যাক্সিমাম মনে হয় তো আপনি ওইটার, যেহেতু ইউ আর এক্সট্রোভার্ট, ইউ আর প্রবাবলি পার্টিসিপেটিং অন সাম অ্যাক্টিভিটিস, দ্যাটস ওয়াই ইউ আর টায়ার্ড, ইউ আর ফিলিং লাইক ইউ আর এক্সস্টেড। But even if I assume that you didn't have to do anything, just you have to get dressed and attend that party, and now after coming back to home, you're thinking about your next day office, and you're thinking like my whole day is wasted, I'm not doing anything, I didn't get enough rest. So if you are thinking this way, there's a high chance that you're an introvert person, right? So if you enjoy your own company and derive energy from your inside, you're introversion. An extrovert, if you derive, and some people attending the same party, and the next morning they're very energetic because they had a great party after last night. All right, so that's the category, belong to the category of extroversion. I think you guys can relate in your own life. Another category is sensing versus intuition. Sensing, those who rely on their 5 senses to perceive the external environment. Usually to perceive about my external environment, these type of people usually rely on their own sense. We have 5 basic senses, right? We hear, we listen, we smell, we taste, all right, we touch. So these are the senses. And those people try to come up with a decision relying on their own 5 senses. But on the other hand, people who rely on their intuition, they basically rely on their intuition and hunches to perceive the external environment, which is they go for their gut feelings. কোনো একটা সিচুয়েশন সম্পর্কে ধারণা নেওয়ার জন্য মানুষ দুই টাইপের মানুষ দুইভাবে ডিসিশন নেয়। একভাবে হচ্ছে তারা যা দেখছে, শুনছে, যা বুঝতে পারছে, এই 5 সেন্সেস ইউজ করে they try to judge a situation. That's sensing. And people who rely on their gut feelings, which we can categorize as 6th sense. These people use 6th sense to judge a scenario or situation. For example, ধরেন অবরোধ হরতাল চলছে. If you see some people running or some crowd rushes, or you can smell something's burning, you can assume that there's something's going on or something's bad happening here, right? So that's a category of sensing. But now you are staying at home and you are thinking there might be some political unrest there and that might be danger waiting for me. Now you are using your gut feelings. That's intuition, right? There's 2 category. This one versus this one. You can be either this one or can be either this one. All right. So this test will identify which side you are in, and they will try to track your core personality. So make sure you attend this personality test. Then comes thinking versus feeling. So thinkers, those who use their logic to arrive a solution. Whenever they face any problem and try to come up with a solution, these people use their logic to solve it. So that's thinking. Another category versus some people solve it feeling, those who use their values and beliefs and ideas about what's right and what's wrong. Kontar solution, kontar right or wrong hobe, they try to rely on their own values, ideas. Right? They don't rely on the logic. Those are the two categories. If I ask you, what do you use? Probably you might be saying that I use feeling, you might be saying, most of you will say I use logic. But you don't even know which category you belong to unless you take the test. All right. So then comes judgment versus perception. So judgment, those who are organized, systematic and would like to have clarity. এরা ডিসিশন মেকিংয়ে ক্ল্যারিটি পছন্দ করে, অবস্কিউরনেস পছন্দ করে না। দে আর ভেরি অর্গানাইজড সিস্টেমেটিক পিপল। If I give you example of two different profession, people from two different profession, one is maybe an artist who involves their whole day in art or creating something new or rely more on their creativity, imagination. Another type of person who maybe loves number, maybe an accountant. একজন অ্যাকাউন্টেন্টকে যদি বলেন খুব ভালো মানের একটা আর্ট করে আমাকে দেখান বা নতুন একটা ধরেন তাকে মার্কেটিংয়ের একটা জব দিলাম where that person needs to prepare an lucrative advertisement. That person will be perplexed, will not able to do the task. Because that person wants specific direction to do something. If you want to do it this way, and if you sum up with that, you'll get this value and you have to match this value with this one. That's what he likes to do. He loves to deal with numbers or maybe specific or organized way. So these are the people who use their judgment in solving things. Are you feeling warm? It's too cold? Noise. Right. And another type of person who is either judgment, who is not judgmental, he uses their perception. Those who are curious, open-minded, and prefer to have some ambiguity. Ambiguity, are you guys familiar with this word? Ambiguous? Vague, right. Unclear. And they agree that tasks we have, situations we have, might have some ambiguity. There will not be a clarity all the time. So these are the two opposite type of nature, judgment versus perception. So whenever you guys take the test, they will identify you as combination of these elements. They probably give you ENTP, ISTJ, different combinations of personality will be there for you, and they will tell you what is your core nature if you answer those questions correctly. আপনারা চাইলে আমি আপনাকে if when you search on internet that Myers-Briggs type indicator, you will get myriads of links, but সবগুলি effective না. I can send you a link which is shortly evaluate your personality, because it takes time, and make sure you answer it quickly. As long as you understand the question, just answer it. Don't think too much. Probably they will ask you, do you love to meet new people every day? And if you start thinking, if your instant answer is no, just give it no. But when you start thinking a lot, you'll see, okay, no, but I do like it. Then it will not work. Okay, so don't think too much, but make sure you understand the question. The questions are usually tricky. Understand? And there's no right or wrong answer. They will just will decode your personality. That's it. So that will be your next class homework, and you will be.
Soft homework or hard homework?
Huh?
Hard copy homework or soft?
It's a kind of a presentation. So it will know if you're comfortable using the soft copy, you're most welcome. If you want to come up with a note, you're most welcome. If you come up with nothing, just here to present yourself that my personality type is this, and these are the things that the website talked about me, and these are right, and I think these are the things that I didn't know about myself. So it's a sort of a discussion, right? So we are done with personality. Then comes perception. So another familiar word. So I'll share you the link because there are lots of links that will take your personality test, but not all of them are effective. So another type is another topic is perception. Another familiar topic for you. So what do you understand by perception? What is perception? Can anyone tell me? Drishtibhungi, right. So
How to see things.
how to see things, right. So it's how we see a certain situation, and it can vary from the other person's point of view as well. So that's perception. Whenever I usually explain perception to my students, I mostly give a simplified example by saying that perception is basically the color of the goggles that you are wearing. We all are wearing a certain color of goggles. So আমরা আমাদের চশমাটার কালার যেটা হয় আমরা আকাশটাকে সেই কালার দেখি. So we usually see the color of the sky. It depends on which color goggles we are wearing, right? So that's perception. By definition, the formal definition of perception is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. Perception may be defined as the process with which individuals detect and interpret external stimuli. Right. So there are a lot of different types of perception are there. Let's give you an example of visual perception. So visually, can you tell me which circle, the center circle, is bigger and which one is smaller? The center one. This circle is big, this one is small, right? So do you agree? Most of you? If I tell you both are same in size, it is because the external stimuli is actually influencing your mind to believe that this one is small and this one is big, but both are same in size. If I remove the external stimuli, you can see both are same in size. So that's perception, and this perception is shaped by our own thinking and external stimuli, external environments. And the second picture, can you see a triangle? All of you can see that, certainly. But is there really any triangle here? No. There's no triangle here. But your brain is tricking you to think, your external environments is tricking you to think there is a triangle here. So that's perception. That's perception, right? Both of them are right. So something wrong with this TV. অন্য ফ্যাকাল্টিদের এরকম হয়?
এর আগের ক্লাস উপরে তো হয় নাই, তার আগে প্রথম ক্লাসে তো ঠিকই ছিল।
I don't know what's wrong. লেখা ছিল কেটে গেছে। Anyways, এই টপিকটা আমরা তাহলে নেক্সট ক্লাসে ডিসকাস করব। In the next class, we'll be discussing components of attitude. So attitude নিয়ে কিছু কথা বলে যাই। So what do you understand by attitude? স্বভাব. No, that was perception, দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি। Attitude, মনোভাব, হ্যাঁ হতে পারে। So attitude is actually, so far we were talking about personality and perception, everything happening in our mind. everything was happening in our mind. But attitude, it related to our action, basically. That's what we do, how we react in a certain situation. So that depends on the attitude. And attitude has three components. Number one is cognitive, number two is affective, number three is cognitive or behavioral. আমরা যখন কোনো সিচুয়েশনে পড়ি বা কোনো ডিসিশন মেক করি সেটা সম্পর্কে first thing happened is the cognitive component. First thing that affected by that is cognitive component. So what does cognitive component means? What is cognitive? Are you guys familiar with this word, cognitive? What do you understand by cognitive? Cognitive ability.
Spontaneous.
Cognitive ability. What?
Yes, learning, thinking, understanding.
Right. Right. Whenever you are solving any complex math, you are using your cognitive ability. So cognitive, whenever you hear the word cognitive, you will instantly understand that it deals with your brain. Something which needs brain functions, where you need to use your brain is directly connected to cognitive. So cognitive component is whenever we are analyzing something logically and thinking logically and try to come up with the solutions. So it completely in your brain. That's cognitive. And on that situation, next component is influence, which is called affective. Affective components is connected to your emotion and feelings. You are analyzing something, thinking something, and then based on that, you will generate a feelings about that. And last component is behavioral or cognitive or action. That based on your thinking, the way you are feeling, now you are doing something in action in real life. So that's behavioral or cognitive or action. It has three names. So number one is cognitive, affective, and cognitive or behavioral, right? So our brain usually follow this pattern in taking any decision, but it's not always true. Sometimes the relation gets cut off. Sometimes the thing that we are thinking is not connected to the way we are feeling, and this is called cognitive dissonance. We have 10 minutes, that's why we are talking, right? So these are the three components of attitude: cognitive, affective, and action or behavioral. And now we are talking about cognitive dissonance, although the definition is not here, you cannot see that, but in the main slide that I have uploaded in the portal, you can see it clearly. It's no problem. There's something wrong with this TV. So whenever your behavior or your cognitive thinking is not matching with your action or any dissonance there, it's called cognitive dissonance. Let me give you a short example of cognitive dissonance. For example, you are a smoker. It can be there. Some of you can love to smoke. All right. So whenever I ask you what do you think about smoking, instantly you might have and in your brain you know that smoking is bad for health. It has thousands of chemicals reaction going on. It causes cancer. It causes lung disease. So these are the thinking that's related to your cognitive components, and you generate bad feelings about that. Okay, you also feel it's bad for health. So number one was cognitive analysis, then you generate feelings, which is affective components, and finally what are you doing? You are thinking যে একটু বিরিয়ানির পরে তো সিগারেট না খাইলে হয় না, right? So আপনার logical flow হওয়া উচিত ছিল, now you are avoiding the smoking, but in your action you are actually doing the opposite that you are thinking. So that's cognitive dissonance, right? So next class আরো details আমরা discuss করব. We'll learn how to reduce cognitive dissonance, right? From this slide we'll be starting our next class. Till then, Allah Hafiz. And can I have your attendance, please? Oh, you have brought it.
We're sitting behind guys.
Thank you very much.
আমরা যারা এখানে ক্লাস করছি এদের তো সবাই PhD